Hey everybody, welcome back to a Denton County weather forecast, and today what we're looking at is the potential for some severe storms for both Sunday and as well as Tuesday. Yes, this might sound crazy, but we have the SPC has issued slight risks for severe storms for portions of the Metroplex for both Sunday and Tuesday, which is day 5 and day 7 on the outlook, which is very uncommon, especially since, you know, there's high forecast confidence now, but obviously it's not very common that we see slight risks or any sort of severe weather risk get issued that far out. So there's a lot to keep in mind here. All threats will be possible for both of those 2 days. I'll break down the location for you, the potential scenarios, because there's a chance that the location does change a little bit, and as well as what threats I'm expecting, timing, as specific as I can really get for being 5 to 7 days out on both outlook. So let's get right into it. So at this point, this is the outlook for Sunday. So we have a chance for severe storms for late Sunday into probably overnight Sunday into Monday morning. So that's kind of the time frame. At this point, the slight risk does include portions of North Texas. It does include Denton County. It also includes Collin County, Cook County, Grayson County. Those counties are included. It does not include really any of Dallas County, but that obviously again could change over the next couple of days. It does include Oklahoma City, and it goes all the way up closer to Wichita. So this does include southern Kansas, most of Oklahoma, really central and as well as eastern portions of Kansas, western Arkansas, southwestern Missouri, as well as northern and northeastern Texas. So at this point, what am I anticipating and all of that? I'll get to the future radar and all that in just a second, but the threats I'm more concerned about at this point will probably be damaging winds, some large hail, and a few tornadoes. I think that tornado threat is going to be especially true to where the bulk shear sets up, where we're going to see the highest shear, which could get those rotating supercells, which I think will probably be somewhere in here, but that obviously could change, which would obviously include North Texas if that was the case. But at this point, it's a little bit too early to tell very specifically on where that exact threat will happen, but it seems like there will be a trough that comes in, there will be a trough that sets up, and the cold front will kind of be like this. And what's going to end up happening is storms will obviously form, and with these supercells, there will be probably enough shear for those supercells to be able to rotate and potentially produce a few tornadoes. So that tornado threat is something that we'll have to really monitor closely over the next several days and see where that goes. But it does seem like that will probably be the primary threat, and as well as damaging winds. I think the damaging wind threat will probably be greater, but obviously a tornado threat will also be possible. So a lot of things to really monitor here over the next several days. All right, heading into the day 7 outlook, you can go ahead and see that the slight risk also includes really similar areas. We're talking anywhere from southern Kansas through central Oklahoma into northern and northwestern DFW. So this does include anywhere from Wichita Falls to Denton, and it also includes Dallas, Weatherford, and as well as even Collin County. So a lot of areas are included in this slight risk for Tuesday. So I'm going to break down both of them for you. And again, all threats would be possible Tuesday as well. Similar situation. So let's go ahead and break down what's going on in the next few days, and I'll get to Sunday, obviously, eventually. So we're going to stay dry in North Texas over the next several days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm anticipating really dry conditions through most of the weekend until about Sunday. So this is about Sunday morning. You know, you're not seeing anything crazy. The trough is kind of set up right here. That's where your low pressure system is. You can see the millibars are dropped down to 1004 in this area. That's kind of where your low would be. 1006 here, 1008, 1010. That sort of thing, and I don't know why my pen is glitching out, but that's what we're kind of looking at for millibars going into Sunday. Now, Sunday afternoon, you can see here's where that trough is now. So you can see here's where that low pressure system is set up. Here's your cold front right about here. You can see the storms are obviously going to be on basically, if I give a good drawing here, it'll basically be in this general area. It might even drop down as far south as maybe, you know, Abilene or something like that, right? So this is right around 6 p.m., 7 p.m. on Sunday night. And you can see the general severe storms, if any, are going to be in western Oklahoma or so. I think the storms will really start to fire up around 7, 8 p.m. That's, you know, it's obviously a little bit later at night or really early evening, but that's when I'm anticipating the storms to form. Again, it's so far out, still 5 days out, that there are things that could change, and we're not able to be very specific because the European model obviously is pretty broad in comparison to like the HRR model. It only goes 48 hours out. I can't really show you that since it doesn't go far out enough, but you can see this is by about 1 o'clock in the morning. Here's your line of storms. Obviously, the line would have formed a few hours beforehand, so this would have probably started right in here. And again, you can kind of see here's your trough right here. The low pressure system. That's where everything's centered, which is why we're seeing this. And this is, okay, I'm going to explain this real quick to you. Basically, what we're seeing right now in October is what we would typically see in May, but May is usually a worse extent. And again, it's a little bit confusing, but we do see severe weather in October and November, and it's really due to the fact that the jet stream starts to dip again. And that's what happens. Obviously, it actually goes from being lower. So let's just take, for instance, here's the jet stream, let's say in, February. That starts to rise going into, March, April, May, which is why we start to see these troughs. Obviously, now we're in a different scenario where it's, the end of summer going, obviously we're in fall now. The jet stream starts to dip, so it starts to come back down. Obviously, it's not this far south, but you get the general picture. That's what kind of happens in this sort of instance. But here's Monday at about 1 o'clock in the morning. So you can see storms are kind of lined up. It's basically, individual, almost looks like discrete supercells by the looks of it. So that'll be something I'll have to monitor. Here's a quick sounding. Basically, the only thing I'm going to look at is what we're looking at the bottom right. And you can see that the possible hazard type out of a storm, which is actually south of where even the threat area is right now, is potentially a tornado. So that's what we're looking at for the possible hazard. Obviously, it doesn't mean that's exactly going to happen in that exact location, but that is the potential hazard that a storm could form a tornado. You can see the dew points and as well as the temperatures are very close together, which does indicate that we do have a potential, again, for severe weather. Relative humidity will be very high. And this is eventually going into Monday morning. You can see that line kind of fizzles out as it goes into eastern Texas. So I think really, if I'm going to be honest with you, based off just the European model, it looks like the best severe threat will be in this area here. So it actually very well could include into central Texas. So that'll be something to monitor over the next several days. Obviously, things could change. All right, let's go into Tuesday real quick, and I'll break down individually both days again with the instability and whatnot. So this is going into Tuesday. This is a bit of a different setup. Your low pressure system actually is going to be way up here. So this is not even close, but you can see that we will probably have some storms that develop way out in front of that, which could very well have some severe weather. So this is about Tuesday at about 7 p.m. See, the strongest and most severe storms would be here in Oklahoma, and then going into the overnight hours, going into Sunday, or not Sunday, Wednesday morning. Not a whole lot for the Metroplex, and then another line kind of forms here. Here's your low pressure system. It's actually going to be off the screen. It's closer to Colorado, but you can see then a line forms here going into Wednesday. So I've researched this a little bit. I'm not entirely sure what the National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center, is showing for Tuesday in terms of severe weather for the Metroplex. I think this might be more of a Wednesday threat, but again, things could change. And you can see this is going into Wednesday. A line would push toward the Metroplex. And again, if I'm just to individually pick out a storm, the threat is not as great, it seems like, but definitely a potential hazard is severe weather, which just basically means hail or damaging winds. If we go close, I did not mean to go out that far. If we go to one of these storms, though, up here, closer to the low pressure system, you can see a tornado threat would be possible. So, again, something really monitor over the next several days is the severe weather threat. Make sure to stay updated with Denton County weather. We're going to keep you updated on the severe storms, because this is definitely going to be something to monitor very closely over the next several days. All right, let's go ahead and break down instability and that sort of thing. So let's go to instability first, and I'll show you the bulk shear for both days. So here's your instability. You can see this is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There's nothing here in the Metroplex for those days. But this is going to Sunday. You can see the instability is not that impressive. I mean, grays are usually showing between 500 to 1,000 joules per kilogram, which is not that impressive when it comes to, instability or energy to fuel these storms. However, it does start to increase going closer to the overnight hours, which is, uncommon, but it does sometimes happen where we have instability that gets higher during the overnight hours after sunset. It doesn't always happen, but again, it does sometimes happen. So the cap would probably be weakening by this point. You see instability values get closer to 1,000 to 2,000, which is significantly greater than only seeing about 500 to 1,000 in isolated areas. So you can see that instability exists. Eventually, we'll have those southerly winds really kicking in Tuesday, which would really fuel instability. That's where it gets very concerning. I'm assuming a dry line is going to kind of set up here or something like that. But this going into Tuesday, you can see that instability really gets high, and then going into Wednesday, you can see that instability is significantly high where that line of storms forms, which you can see values closer to 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram, and eventually that line pushes toward the Metroplex during Wednesday, it looks like, and then eventually we'll have some storms there. And it looks like this pattern will probably go on into Friday as well. Probably not to as severe of an extent, but definitely could be possible as well. So a lot to watch here. I'm telling you that the severe weather season number 2 is basically here for us of 2021, so definitely something to monitor. Here's your shear going into Thursday, Friday, not really that big of a deal. Here's when that trough comes in, and you can see the shear is extremely high. And this is when we really have to pay attention, because you can see the shear is greatest in that kind of circled area I had before. It looks like the northwestern portions of DFW would have that best risk, really primarily being in here for any tornado threat. So something to really monitor over the next several days, again, would be to see if there's a tornado threat that does exist, which it seems like there will definitely be a tornado threat with this setup. Going into Tuesday into Wednesday, you can see that shear does increase again. I'm not as confident on what we'll see Wednesday or Tuesday compared to Sunday. It's just so far out, guys. And I'm telling you, when it's 7 days out, we don't have, you know, really any specifics besides there could be potentially all threats, and as well as the general location, which at this point seems to be North Texas. So again, kind of summarizing this real quick, this is the day 7 outlook, so this would be Tuesday. But this is the Sunday outlook. To give you an idea of this, I think that this very well could get extended back farther into the Metroplex. So I think this might actually include more of this area. It might move a bit south. So keep this in mind. Make sure you're staying updated with Denton County weather for the latest. We're going to keep you updated ahead of the storms. I'm not entirely sure about live streaming some of this stuff. I'm hoping I can on Sunday, but again, depending on what the timing is, I'm usually at this point, most of my severe weather coverage will only be between the hours in CST time, between like anywhere from, you know, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on a Sunday. So I'm not entirely sure yet if there will be severe weather coverage on this, but I will be able to keep updates for you. If there's any tornado warnings or anything like that, we'll keep you updated. But again, it's still far out. Don't panic. There's no reason to panic. Make sure to stay updated with Denton County weather for the latest. Make sure to subscribe here to our YouTube channel. Stay updated. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and as well as on Facebook. And make sure you have a great day. We'll keep you updated on YouTube as well as on Facebook with the latest.